Hello and very welcome everyone to this session of the World Geography, Earthquakes and Volcanoes. So we are going to start and see what we can learn from this session. So let's start. Before we start, the images, text and other materials used in our presentations are for educational purpose only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the same. So let's start with the introduction. So seismograph, it is an instrument to detect and record earthquakes. So seismograph is a type of an instrument that we generally use to detect the seismic waves and to study about seismic waves, and it also helps us in understanding the phenomena of earthquakes. Focus is the point of earthquakes from which energy is released. It is also known as the hypocenter of an earthquake. So we all know that earthquake generates in the crust, and the point beneath the crust where the earthquake generates, this point is called as the focus. It is also termed as hypocenter. So do remember, the focus and hypocenter is the same thing, and it formed or it originates at the place where the earthquake origins. Epicenter is the point on the earth's surface which is present directly above the focus. It is the surface point which experiences the earthquake waves first. So when we talk about the earthquake, so earthquake origins in crust at a point called focus beneath the earth's surface, and just 90-degree above that point, that is called a focus, the point lies that is called the epicenter. And epicenter is the point through which the earthquake reaches the surface, the top surface of the earth, and now it will spread all over the crust and above the surface. So that is point is called the epicenter. Isosysmal line, all points are connected on the surface through a line where the intensity of earthquakes are the same, is known as isosysmic line. So whenever earthquake occurs, and because of which the seismic lines are formed or seismic detection occurred on the surface, and if we found that the same type of frequency is found on the seismograph on the particular area, then these lines or these area is called a seismic isosysmic lines. That means the same type of frequency occurs in different areas on the surface. Aftershocks. Many lesser size earthquakes occur after a major or even moderate earthquake. These lesser size earthquakes are called the aftershocks. Foreshocks. When a mild earthquake occurs just before the violent shaking movement of an earthquake, this mild earthquake is known as foreshock. So aftershocks, these are the shocks that occurs after a major earthquake occurs, and the foreshock is basically the violent shaking of movement of an earthquake that occurs after or before the earthquake, and these are the small type of earthquakes or mild earthquakes. So earthquake swarms. So sometimes a considerable number of small earthquake occurs in a region without any major earthquakes. These series of earthquakes are called earthquake swarms. Like the last year in Iceland, these earthquake swarms happened. So these are called the earthquake swarms. Such earthquakes that are associated with volcanic activity. These type of earthquakes often occurs in swarms. It may also serve as markers for the location of the flowing magma throughout the volcanoes. So generally the area which have the chain of volcanoes or the area at the point of convergence and divergence of the tectonic plates, these area feels or have these earthquake swarms. So I hope this point is clear. Causes of the earthquakes. So there are mainly four important causes of earthquakes. They are fault zones, volcanic activity, plate tectonics, human raised earthquakes. So these are the different phenomena of earthquakes and some important causes of earthquakes, like the fault zone. Fault zone basically is the area at which some type of fault occurs in the past in the ancient geohistory, and sometimes it triggers a earthquake, like the Bhuj earthquake that occurs in Gujarat in the 2000s, and that was one of these type of earthquake. Then the volcanic activity, it is one of the major cause whenever a volcano erupts, and that creates a lot of shakiness, and that creates a disturbance in the tectonic plates, and because of which the earthquake occurs. Then plate tectonics, this is the most important and majorly the important characteristic because of which the major earthquake occurs. So convergence, divergence and transform boundaries of tectonic plates generally results into an earthquake. Then human raised earthquakes, like if a human detonates an atomic bomb or hydrogen bomb or any type of bomb to create mines, because of which any earthquake can be triggered. So that is also called a human raised earthquakes. Then fault zones. Let's discuss the fault zones first. So the sudden release of a stress along a fault rupture in the earth crust is the immediate cause of most shallow earthquakes. So these earthquakes are generally not very harsh, but sometimes it also creates a lot of devastation, like the Bhuj earthquake. And as the faults are, or I already told you that these are the type of the fractures or the faults that were there during the ancient times, and now they got triggered because of some type of activities of tectonic plates. So these are called the fault zones. The constant change in volume and density of rocks due to intense temperature and pressure in the Earth's interior. As a result, sudden slip of rock formation along fault rupture in the Earth's crust. So, as I said, that because of some type of activity beneath the Earth's surface, any fault which was earlier a point of convergence or divergence, and now it is generally a fault, and sometimes it get triggered and the earthquake generates. The resulting magnitude of earthquakes are as higher as the longer the length and the wider of the width of the faulted area. So, along with the thrust fault, the longest earthquake ruptures are approximately 1000 km. So, when the longest earthquake ruptures on the strike, slip faults are half to one third as long as the lengths along with the thrust fault. So I hope this point is really clear to all of you, that what are fault zones and what are the different type of characteristics because of which the earthquake occurs. Now let's discuss about the volcanic activity. So earthquake can also occur due to volcanic activity, but these type of earthquakes are generally less severe and more limited in extent than those occurred by fracturing the earth's crust. The consequent release of elastic strain energy, both by tectonic plates and the movement of magma in the volcanoes, are the major cause of earthquakes in volcanic regions. So, many a times when these volcanoes erupt beneath the sea surface, then generally the devastating earthquake occurs, and but the most severe earthquake generally occurs only because of the tectonic activity. So these type of earthquakes gives an early warning of volcanic eruptions. It was seen in the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. Particularly in the circum-Pacific belt, the along oceanic ridges, there is a clear correspondence between the geographic distribution of volcanoes and major earthquakes. That is why this in the Pacific Ocean we also found the belt that is called the belt of volcanoes, and that is called a ring of fire also. Now let's talk about another activity that is called a plate tectonics. So transform boundaries, convergent boundaries and divergence along with the fault line and slipping of land are the main reasons behind earthquakes. The most powerful earthquakes and mega thrust earthquakes of magnitude 8 or more are associated with reverse faults or convergent boundaries. Earthquake associated with normal faults are generally less than magnitude 7. Subduction zones are those zones where the mega thrust earthquake occur, in which one tectonic plate is forced underneath other. For example, Indian Ocean earthquake 2005. 4. So subduction zone is the area generally found in the convergence belt area or convergence tectonic plates area, where one belt or one plate is submerging beneath the other, and because of which the movement of this converging plates creates a triggerness in the landforms, and because of which the earthquakes occurs. So generally most of the earthquake occurs because of these type of subduction zones. So major earthquakes up to about magnitude 8 can occur due to the strike slip faults, particularly continental transforms. The Pacific plate and North American plate move horizontally relative to each other at the San Andreas Fault. As a result, earthquakes occur along the fault lines. So this is one of the area where the transform boundary occurs, and the major earthquakes occurs in this region. Human induced earthquakes. So, human activities such as nuclear test, mining, large scale petroleum extraction, artificial lakes or reservoirs, etc., cause typically minor earthquakes and tremors. So, I already told you that whenever the humans create some type, do some type of activities like atomic bombs, mining on large scale, etc., so because of which the earthquakes generally occur. Reservoirs induce seismicity. So, in a large and deep artificial lake, the pressure applied by a column of water alters stresses along an existing fault or fracture. Also, the soil structure is weakened by the percolation of water. It also lubricates the faults. So, how the reservoir creates seismicity? So, that is because when a column of water, that means when we accumulate a lot of water in any area, and that amount of water creates a triggerness in the fault or the fracture that was already existing there, or also by weaken the soil structure of that area. So generally the earthquakes can occur because of this. So there is a significant change in the stress while loading and unloading of water. It leads to a sudden movement along the fault or fracture. As a result, an earthquake occurs. In 1967, Koyanagar, Koyana earthquake occurred near the Koyana Dam reservoir in Maharashtra with a magnitude 6.3. There have been many earthquakes of smaller magnitude since then. In this earthquake, more than 150 lives were lost. So, not only the areas where the convergence and divergence of boundaries are created, but also the areas where the lot of amount of water is accumulated, and that because of the dams and reservoirs, sometimes the major magnitude of earthquakes can also occur. Like one, we have an example in Koyana Nagar. The measurement of earthquake. So Richter scale is used to measure the magnitude of an earthquake or to measure the strength of the earthquake or the amount of energy released during the earthquake. It is determined by the base 10 logarithm of the amplitude of waves recorded. So Richter scale generally measures the value or the frequency of earthquake at the focus, that means the hypocenter. So for that purpose Richter scale is formed, and that is why we also provides the details of the earthquake in terms of Richter, that how much Richter of earthquake occurred. So do remember that Richter scale calculates the Richter value or the magnitude at the focus or the hypocenter. This corresponds to the 31.6 times energy released for each unit level increase in magnitude. For example, if the magnitude of an earthquake registered at 7 on the Richter scale means its magnitude is 10 times the earthquake on the Richter scale 6, corresponding to the 31.6 times energy released by the lesser earthquake. The Mercalli scale is a 12-step measure of earthquake intensity on the basis of loss of life and property. It is closed-ended linear scale scaled from 1 to 12. So do remember that Mercalli scale helps in calculating the intensity, and do remember that Mercalli scale measures the intensity at the surface of the earth. That means from the epicenter it is being calculated. So from the epicenter on the surface of the earth at different places we can find different value on the Mercalli scale, because the intensity while moving away from the epicenter loses the energy. So because of which the Mercalli scale measures the intensity at different levels, at different places, at different values. But always remember that magnitude is consistent, because this is calculated by Richter scale at the place where the earthquake originates, at the focus or the hypocenter. Anywhere in between the Earth's surface and about 700 kilometers below the Earth's surface can occur. Earthquake can be divided into three zones according to the depth range of 0 to 700 km for scientific purposes: shallow, intermediate, and deep. Shallow focus earthquakes. These type of earthquakes are found within the Earth's outer crustal layer, which are 0 to 70 km deep. With respect to the total energy released in earthquakes, near about 70 to 85% comes from the shallow focus earthquakes. So that is why we also say that mostly the earthquake occurs in the crust of the earth. Then intermediate earthquakes. It occurs about 70 to 300 kilometers deep. About 12 to 15% energy comes from the intermediate earthquakes with respect to the total energy released in earthquakes. Then deep earthquakes. These type of earthquakes often occur 300 to 700 kilometer deep. It occurs within the deeper subduction zones of the earth. Energy releases from the earthquake depends not only on the energy release, it also depends on the location, distance from the epicenter, and depth, as I was saying. So if a person lives near the epicenter, then he will have more impact because of the high intensity. But if a person lives 100 or 200 or 300 kilometers away from the epicenter, then the impact will be less. Conclusion of both earthquakes. The Italy earthquake had originated within 10 kilometers underground, and it was a very shallow focus earthquake, hence it is considered as a destructive earthquake. So sometimes whenever these type of earthquakes occurs, they create a lot of devastation. While the earthquake in Myanmar was 84 kilometer deep, so it was not very destructive. So it is very easy to understand that the deep the earthquake is, the less it will create an impact, unless and until it will be of high magnitude. Earthquakes along the convergent boundary, Wadati-Benioff zone. So Wadati-Benioff zone is the most sensitive zone in which the most powerful earthquakes can occur along the convergent boundary. It is a zone of subduction along the earthquakes are common. These type of zones can occur by slipping along the subduction thrust fault or slip on faults within the downgoing plate. Numerous earthquakes can occur by the differential motion along the zone, and its foci may be as deep as about 700 kilometers. Major earthquake zones, where the belt coincide with the margins of tectonic plates in which mainly Earth's major earthquakes occur. The Circum-Pacific Belt is the most important earthquake belt. It affects occur around the Pacific Ocean populated coastal regions such as New Zealand, New Guinea, Japan, Aleutian Islands, Alaska, and the western coast of North and South America. So these are some of the very important areas, and that is around the part of Circum-Pacific Belt, that where the earthquakes are generally found, and because of which these are the most affected areas. And that is because Pacific plate is the oldest plate on earth, and all the plates along with the alongside with the Pacific plate are either converging or diverging or creating a transform boundary. So because of which all these areas are existing near about these regions of the convergence, divergence, or transform boundary, and that is why they have this large amount of volcanoes or large number of volcanoes around them. Then the Alpine Belt. It is the second most important earthquake belt in which the energy released in earthquakes from this belt is about 15% of the world total. It is also known as the Mid World Mountain Belt. So Alpine Belt is generally the Alpine Mountains, and Alpine Mountains is the whole region where the mountains originates after the during the tertiary period when the Himalayas are formed. So Himalayas are also the part of alpine mountains. So this is the region where the earthquake belt in which energy released in earthquakes, and this consists of 15% of the world total. It extends parallel to the equator from Mexico across following: Atlantic Ocean, Mediterranean Sea, from Alpine Caucasus range to the Caspian, Himalayas mountain and adjoining lands. So as I was saying, so alpine belt is this area whole, the upper side of Mediterranean Sea and the area around Himalayas. So these are the areas and they consist of 15% of the world's total earthquakes. Major earthquake zones. Some striking connected belts of seismic activity along oceanic ridges are as follows: the Western Indian Ocean, along the rift valleys of East Africa, the Arctic Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. So these are the some oceanic ridges, and they are basically found and the seismic activities along the oceanic ridges. As we know that the longest mountain range or the mid Atlantic oceanic ridge is the longest range, and it is also on the point of the divergent boundary. Earthquakes in India. The latest seismic zone map prepared by the National Disaster Management Authority reveals that nearly 59% of India's land area is prone to moderate or severe earthquakes. India has been divided into four seismic zones: second, third, fourth, and fifth, based on scientific inputs relating to seismicity. Earthquakes occurred in the past and tectonic setups to the of the region. Fifth being most vulnerable area, and second being less vulnerable area. Volcanism is the phenomena of eruption of molten rocks, pyroclastics, and volcanic gases to the surface through a vent. Causes: huge temperature difference between the inner layers and outer layers of the earth result in convective activity. Weak zones on earth's crust, convergent divergent boundaries, earthquakes and faulting. Type of lavas. So here we can see there are basically two type of lavas, the acidic and the basic. Acidic consists of highly viscous, high melting point, light color, low density, high silica, forms stratovolcano, steep sloping volcano, violent eruptions. Basic lava, hottest lava with high viscosity, very fluid, dark colored basalt, rich in iron and magnesium but poor in silica. Thin sheets at great distance, gentle sloping volcano, or silent eruptions. So these are the basic difference between the acidic lava and basic lava, and do remember them as these type of questions may ask into your exam. Now, types of volcano. So on the basis of active volcanoes erupt frequently and are mostly located around the rings of fire. Rings of fire is the belt that is found in the Pacific Ocean alongside the area where the Pacific plate is in touch with the other boundaries, horizontal or vertical to it. Dormant volcano is one of the more one that has not erupted in the long time, but there is a possibility it can erupt in the future. Dead volcano or an extinct volcano. So these are those volcanoes which have not erupted and are generally found in the form of a mountain these days, like Kilimanjaro. So these are the different type of volcanoes. On the basis of occurrence, so extrusive, above the surface of the earth, means those volcanoes which you can see directly with your eyes on the continents and on the islands. So these are called the extrusive volcanoes. The central type, like the strombolian, the composite cone, Hawaiian, shield type. Hawaiian can occur as central type and fissure type as well. A strombolian is found in the Mediterranean Sea and is also known as the lighthouse of the Mediterranean Sea. Hawaiian is found in the Pacific Ocean. Fissure type: lava plateaus, basalt, tablelands. Intrusive, below the surface of the earth. So these are the volcanoes which you cannot see directly with your naked eyes, and they are found below the surface of the earth. So here you can see in this diagram, there are a lot of different type of areas on the surface that can see that is work like a place where from where the magma comes out, like the composite volcano. Here you can see it is a conal one. Then the lava mesa is a type of a plateau that is formed because of the basic type of raw volcanoes activity. Then cinder cone, so it can also be found in this way. Then lava plateau, ash come with volcanic dome, volcanic neck with radiating dikes, caldera with cinder cone on floor, ash flow. So this is the structure which tells us that how the volcanic eruption takes place. So I hope this difference of extrusive and intrusive type of volcanoes are clear. Then effects of volcanism. So first effect is the acid rain and ozone destruction. So the type of gases that comes out of the volcanoes generally creates two very important phenomena. One is the acid rain. Acid rain are found when the water gets merged with the sulfuric acid and nitric acid, and because of which the mild and diluted acidic water occurs, and that is called the acid rain. Then ozone destruction generally occurs because of the influence of CFC molecules and hydrocarbon molecules, and that also forms out of the volcanoes but not in large number, but do affect the ozone layer. Air pollution, gases released, sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide and hydrogen fluoride. Creation of fertile land like Deccan Trap and volcanic soil like the black soil. So these are the different type of soils are also formed out of the volcanoes. Creation of hot springs and geysers. So hot springs and geysers are also found at a place where the landform is found above the volcanoes, and because of which the hot geysers are created. Potential for geothermal energy. So these hot geysers and hot springs are the point where the geothermal energy can be created by using the steam, and because of this steam the turbine moves, and because of which we can generate the electricity. So this type of energy is called geothermal energy. Then some additional features like crater, vent through which the magma flows out, that is called a crater. Then caldera, enlarged crater. Lava domes, viscous magma piles up around the vent, that are called lava domes. And cinder cone, a steep circular or oval shaped hill of loose pyroclastic fragments built around a volcanic vent. Then mantle plume is the convection of abnormally hot rock magma within the Earth's mantle. They are volcanic hotspots. Plume is a type of the gas or the heat that forms out of the hot magma. Pseudo volcanic features are certain topographic features that resemble volcanic forms that are of non volcanic origin. They include meteorite, crater, salt plugs, and mud volcanoes. The Himalayan region and the Indian peninsula are both devoid of volcanoes. Barren Island in Andaman Island is the only active volcano in India, last erupted in 2004. It was also recently got a less amount of eruption in 2022. It is not very active but comes in the category of active because we can see some eruption in the recent times. So here you can see the different type of boundaries like the convergent and divergent and transform boundaries are shown in this diagram. Now let's talk about one more devastating thing that is called a tsunami. That is also known as the harbor waves. Tsunami is a Japanese word which is the name of harbor waves. So a tsunami is a series of very long wavelength. Causes subduction of plate, earthquake causing vertical displacement of plates, volcanic eruption, landslides, underwater explosions, meteorite impact, etc. causes tsunami. So as soon as an energy released beneath the ocean surface or sea surface, it creates a vertical energy That vertical energy creates an energy in the water, because of which the water recedes from the coasts and then comes with full energy. So these are these waves that comes with full energy, and these are the length of 30-meter, 40-meter, 100-meter, or depends upon the energy and the type of earthquake that is formed. These are called the tsunamis, and they are also called the harbor waves. The sea level decreased before the tsunami. In open ocean, the speed of the wave is more and wave height is less. But as the wave arrives near shallow water, the speed reduces and the wave height increases. That is, it becomes killer wave in a shallow water. NOAA has developed a deep ocean assessment and reporting of tsunamis, DART-GAUS, that helps us in understanding and getting to know that if any tsunami is being occurring in recent times. Indian National Center for Ocean Information Service inquires Hyderabad, the tsunami warning system. So these are the different type of reasons because of which the tsunami can occur, and these are the different type of phenomena through which we can understand about the tsunamis and observe them. And that's it in this session. I hope you learned a lot of things about volcanoes, earthquakes, and tsunami. We'll meet you in the next session. Till then, bye bye and thank you.